Welcome to this podcast powered by Renrose Creations. Myself, Renal Joyson. Mental health is one of the most neglected aspects in present generation. Perhaps this negligence sometimes leads to a greater consequences, costing your own life. But we have a helping hand waiting to receive you, to counsel you, and to stabilize this mental illness and to bring you back to the normal life. One of such personality is here with us, Miss Nainika Nair. She's a counselor, well-known psychotherapist. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's a privilege to have you in this podcast.
Thank you.
So, we are excited to know more about you.
Okay.
So, can you just tell us briefly your journey towards this profession? What inspired you to be a counselor or a psychotherapist?
Okay, so initially I started off wanting to be a cardiologist because I thought that the heart is the most important organ of our body. And then slowly, when I aged a bit, when I became 16, 17, I started reading a lot of books and watching a lot of movies. And I got inspired by these psychologists in those books and movies. And that's when I started to understand that the most powerful organ, it's not an organ, mind is not an organ, but the most powerful tool that we have is our mind, and that if we control our mind and if we have a lot of willpower, our body is going to be fine. So there's always a conversation about physical health versus mental health, but I think that if you have good mental health, you'll be able to take care of your physical health. So that's what inspired to be a psychologist.
Wow, that was a short and nice introduction.
Yeah.
How would you describe your approach when working with your clients?
So I'd say it's a very eclectic approach, which means that it's a combination of different kinds of therapy. It's not mostly actually, it's all the time client focused. It's about what the client needs. So for some people I use CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. For some people I use PCT, for some SFBT. So it depends on what the client wants, for how long the client wants the sessions. For example, if it's SFBT, which is solution focused brief therapy, it ranges from about 4 to 8 sessions. So if they want a quick sort of, I wouldn't say a quick fix, but a quick end to what they are looking for, what we do is SFBT. But generally I ask the client what they want, I explain the kinds of therapy to them, and I ask them which is most comfortable for them, and then I proceed. It's like they are the captain of the ship, for example, and I have the map and the tools to just guide them. So they decide where they want to go and what they want to do in a session.
So, in your experience, what is the shortest session and the longest session?
The shortest session that I've had was 4 sessions, and that was for SFBT. And the longest that I've had was about near 20 sessions. That was for CBT, a client with PCT and CBT. It was a mix, it was an eclectic approach that I used with that client.
Okay, I mean, in the shortest session, what is the time duration?
Okay, so each session ranges from 45 minutes to 1 hour. The first session is usually understanding your therapist and your client. So it's basically asking questions and understanding each other. And then the second, third, fourth is about, okay, what your problem is and how are we going to find a solution to that.
Okay, so it's like a stage 1, stage 2,
Yeah.
it goes on.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of misconceptions in the people about the therapy. So what is your opinion?
Okay, so I believe that there are a lot of misconceptions about therapy. The first one is the quick fix, where people think that if you come for 1 session, everything is going to be fine and your problems are going to fade away, but that's not how it works. The second thing is the only for crisis, where people think that, oh, I can only go for a therapy when I'm in a deep trouble or when I'm at my lowest. But that's not how it works. Even if you have everyday struggles, stress at work, you can come for therapy. Usually these stresses at work or the minute things in your daily life is what leads up to a big problem. So if you get that sorted out first, you wouldn't have to reach that point where you're in a deep crisis.
Yeah.
The third one is the weakness myth, which means that where people think that only weak people go for therapy, or people who have no strength at all, those are the ones who go for therapy and they need therapy. That's not true. People require a lot of strength, a lot of dedication, a lot of consistency when it comes to therapy. So people who come to therapy are the strongest, is what I believe.
So you mean it's better if the people approach the counselor in the initial stage, so it will be good for them?
Definitely. So people who come to us therapists at the initial stages where they have experienced something that is stressful at the beginning, they're more likely to be more resilient later on, and they get their problems or issues sorted quicker than people who are at their lowest in the pits of it. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of concerns your client most oftenly bring for the therapy today?
Okay, so the most commonly brought up thing is anxiety and depression, which is, I think, all around.
It's very common.
Very common these days. I think it could be because of low resilience as well. People who have difficulty bouncing back, well, they don't understand coping strategies, they wouldn't know how to use them. That is not their fault. It's because they haven't been taught that, or in schools especially. And I think I vote for it all the time, that you need to have a school counselor who teaches you about mental health. And also, I think people struggle these days to come back from setbacks because there's a lot of social pressure. There's a lot of social media. So you want to look perfect all the time, which is not something that I would advise. Imperfection is amazing as well, but sometimes people just want to be their perfect, versions. But I think if you be the best version of yourself, you'll ultimately become the perfect version of yourself. Yeah.
So mental health, it should be implemented in schools because it's very absent in present scenario.
Yeah.
In the olden days, it was okay. There was no much what we call anxiety and all. But in the present generation, there is it's like a package.